So, welcome to the round 1 feature match for OGFC's Ultimate Pot Tournament. My name is Morpp, also known as Angus Lamb on Facebook. So today, for our round 1 feature match, we have Boii, who is playing Stallburn, which is a deck that was first introduced to the GOAT metagame in FLC 3, which was roughly a year ago, but has sort of like fallen off a little bit. I wouldn't say it's like bad or like that people like don't think it's good or anything, or like people don't play it. I think it's just underrepresented because people want to try other decks. But Stallburn, still a very, very strong deck in its own right. And on the other side of the dueling field, we have NaughtyOjama, aka Morgan Mayo, and Morgan is playing Strike Ninja mid-range. So Strike Ninja is a deck that incorporates a bunch of dark monsters, Strike Ninja, and has a win condition late game in return from a different dimension. So I wanted to feature this match because I wanted to see if Strike Ninja could pull out a win against a Titan that has sort of been established in the metagame. So without further ado, let's begin. And we're also going to put on some nice music in the background as they play. Just a little bit of a miscommunication there. I told these guys to not start before I gave them the heads up, so I guess like Fabricio's still thinking about you know, if they can start, if they can start or not, but they can. So it looks like the Strike Ninja player won RPS, so the Strike Ninja player gets to go first. This might be really huge because if Burn gets to go first, sometimes they can just set up a bunch of traps and stuff, and then the Strike Ninja player can't play. So this is actually pretty huge, and actually matters a lot more than you would think. Right off the bat, we already see the Strike Ninja in the graveyard, along with Sinister Serpent, which is actually amazing. So looks like Morgan decides to normal summon Sangan, set a back row, and pass his turn. He's going to be able to recur the Sinister Serpent later on his next turn to nullify like a bit of the cost of Graceful Charity and make it a real +1. The Sangan's also floating too, which is pretty huge. So, looks like Fabricio goes for set monsters, set 4, potentially 5? Set 5 pass. And it looks like in the end phase, ooh, I don't like this at all. But Morgan decides to go for a Blind Dust on one of his 4 back rows, and he sees a Jester's Roots, so he's under the impression that it's 100% burn at this point. If I'm Fabricio, if I'm Morgan, I might think that this is either Daze Koala or Big Shield Garna. So I'm going to be cognizant about this. And it looks like he doesn't forget the Serpent. And indeed just goes and pops it. That's actually really huge, because being able to deny flips is actually really nice. Fabricio may decide to Solemn this, honestly. And we see his thinking, so I think he definitely has a Solemn at this point. So I think Fabricio's thinking long and hard about this and thinking about the Solomon. I think it's honestly like a very, very justified thing, because if he Psalms this, he'll be at 4K, but Morgan won't be able to get him more damage from here on out. On the other hand, if he doesn't Solemn it, then Fabricio will be taking 1,000 points of damage from Sangan, potentially more, depending on what Morgan has in his hand, turn after turn. And that might actually add up more than the Solemn. Let's go through though. Chooses not the Solemn yet. We'll see if that pays off for him. So Morgan doesn't have another monster, but Fabricio has Wall of Revealing Light. So in the start step, Fabricio wants to use Wall of Revealing Light. He's going to pay 2,000 life points. I would have possibly paid 3,000 here, but I think he's making the read that Morgan doesn't play BLS or Sorcerer for that matter. So I think that's actually pretty smart of him. That's good situational awareness. But most people usually pay 3,000 because basically if you pay 3,000, nothing in the metagame can attack. So Morgan's in a weird spot here because this Wall of Revealing Light is actually putting in a lot of work. It's preventing him from attacking directly with the small monsters and establishing a strong clock on Fabricio. And until Morgan outs the wall, he can't really do a whole lot to the game state. And as we see, Fabricio's just choosing to draw pass here. And I think ultimately that favors him for sure, because that buys him more time to draw more burn cards, and that will ultimately help him win the game. Okay, so this is rough. We see that Morgan is now locked out of his monster zones because of the Ojama trio. That's another thing to consider. Like, if you don't, if you can't afford to do so, it's very easy to lock yourself out of monster zones because of the fact that Stalberg plays cards like Ojama trio to flood your monster zones. So usually you'll see in a lot of specific burn games, like the opponent who's playing against burn will not commit more than one monster to the field at a time because they're concerned about trio and they want to keep an open monster zone. So Fabricio decides to use Nightmare Wheel on the Kaiku. I think that's a smart play. The Kaiku's not really doing anything right now, but it establishes a clock. And even though that clock is like 16 turns long, it doesn't look like Morgan is drawing out to the wall yet. So I think Fabricio's mindset is he might as well take as much burn damage as he can get right now, and he doesn't also see the monster zone lock being broken anytime soon. So I think that's really smart of him. I'm just gonna do something real quick. It's not that I don't like Max or anything, but I need him to stop messaging me right now. Fabricio out here looking like a Trickstar player, saying minus 200, minus 400 with the minus 500 reminders. That's kind of funny. So we see a Lightning Vortex come down from Morgan. Not really sure about this, because I don't really know if he can impact the game state at all after doing so. Yeah, he just LVs and passes, but I guess like the LV is free, but I think you might as well just wait until he sees more Gardenos if you're not going to push. So they're just going minus 500, minus 500, and like we see the wheel is actually establishing a very real clock, because off the bat, like Morgan has already taken 2,500 from this, and they'll just draw passing. It doesn't seem like he has an out to the wall. The thing here is like there's probably like a Solemn Judgment or like a Fake Trap in one of these three back rows. So So that wall is probably not going to stay around for the rest of the game unless Morgan draws multiple outs. So we see this heavy storm that's getting solemn judgmented. I expected that. I saw that coming a mile away, especially after after Fabrizio was thinking about the Regeki break on the big shield Gardener. I think there's a very, very easy telltale sign there that there's a solemn judgment down. We see Fabrizio set another card down. And I think we're seeing just why Stallburn is good, because as soon as it establishes a few floodgates and some protection, it's very, very, very difficult to beat. Even Go Control can struggle with beating Stallburn if they're not prepared in the side deck to combat it. So that's like Fabrizio's thinking. I think he might be thinking about whether or not he wants to use like a burn trap, and maybe set something else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. I need to remind them to discard down to the legal hand size limit if need be at some point. But I think they're cognizant and understand that it exists. So I don't think I'll have to remind them. We'll see though. Again, also, Stallburn is called Stallburn for a reason. It literally stalls out the game, uses its +1 from the draw phase every single turn to... Oh, okay, I guess looks like Fabrizio wants to do something in the end of the main phase. Or end of main phase. Looks like there's a secret barrel down there. So this secret barrel is going to hit for, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is going to hit for 3,000, yeah. Now they're going to go to the end phase. So it looks like basically at this point, if Fabrizio has any burn card whatsoever, then he just wins basically. Or you just wait 2 turns and use the wheel. Use the 500 too. You're really sticking in those 500, buddy. You're really sticking it in. So it looks like Fabrizio set a card and passed. And Morgan has literally 1 turn to deal 3,000 points of damage somehow. I don't think he's doing it though. Yeah, he just skips it up. So I think Morgan's potentially costly misplay was summoning another monster alongside the Sangan, and that led him to be Ojama locked. And then he couldn't really do anything to advance the game state from there, because I don't think he plays Mobius the Frost Monarch or any tributes that can pop spell and trap removal. Sorry, that can pop spells and traps in his main deck. And then whatever like backrow destruction he did have, like we saw him rip a Heavy Storm at some point. He wasn't able to do anything with it because Fabrizio had a Solemn Judgment down, and he used the Solemn Judgment on the Storm, and that prevented him from really doing anything for the rest of the game. We saw him, I think, draw past like 8 times, and then like he just kind of skipped it up because at some point Fabrizio had a secret barrel for 3,000, and then the damage from Nightmare Wheel added up and eventually forced Morgan to concede. So looking into the side deck, I don't even know if Fabrizio will side anything, because just based on what he saw, I don't know if he has a clear-cut plan as to what Morgan's actually playing. We saw the strike ninja, but he may not have picked up on that. I could potentially see maybe let me just read up Duck Devastation Virus. I want to see if that will be any good, but I don't think it will be. We could also see him side in double snares for if he expects Royal Decree. That's also very real. We do know that Fabricio plays double snare. On the other side of things, I think Morgan, his side looks very, very, very inept in terms of dealing with this. We could maybe see him side in Mystic Storage level 2 and Exiled Force to deal with Big Shield Gardener, but beyond that, he doesn't really have a lot of spell and trap removal. He has 1 Heavy Storm, 1 MST, 2 Raigeki Breaks, and 1 Dust Tornado, and that's it. He has Breaker as well, so that's worthy to note. And he does main deck Jinzo, so that's actually also nice. The fact that he main deck Jinzo also just means he didn't draw it in that game. So that's important to note. Now that's a little unfortunate as well, but like I guess Jinzo is still only a 1-of, so I guess it makes sense. So let me just see if Deck Devastation Virus will be good against him. I don't think it will be, but let's see. With 1500 or less attack, yeah, I don't think I'll be that good against him. Strike Ninja 1700, so I don't think this is coming in. At least I wouldn't expect it to come in, but we never know if Fabricio decides to side deck it. In terms of what could come out, potentially the Air Knight could come out for Morgan, the Sakuretsu for sure, the Mirror Force for sure, probably the Snatch Steal as well, and maybe his Revival, or maybe Duo. Probably Duo, I think. Probably Duo. Maybe the books should come out as well, because the books don't really do anything to Fabricio's deck, and I don't really see the need for him to. Well, actually, they might stay in because he could abuse like stuff like the GK package and GK guard with it. So we'll see what he does. But I think Morgan's taking a long time aside here. Actually, no, Fabricio's taking a long time aside here. But he is also playing on a tablet, which explains a whole lot. In terms of what Fabricio might take out of his deck, he's saying my bad almost done, yeah. So I'm going to be a bit more lenient with Fabricio and him taking a while with his plays, because he is playing on a tablet, and it's hard to kind of just play a dueling book on a tablet, period. So there's that. In terms of what would come out, I think it'd be like the ancillary pieces for him. So like maybe like a skill drain, maybe a Nightmare Wheel or 2. Maybe like the Exiled Forest and the Morphing Jar, and like the Serpent maybe. Yeah. I don't think Fabricio has to side a lot too. You could honestly just not side and still be fine if you really wanted to, but I think double snares are probably coming in by default, despite the fact that Morgan doesn't actually play Royal Decree, which is actually really huge. He does play Jinzo though, so if Fabricio decides to side in double snares, they won't be completely useless, but they'll only be good against one card and one card only. Let's get they're all done though, and they're gonna start game 2. Alright, so Morgan decides to go first again. Starts up with the Kaiku, sets 1 back row and passes. Fabricio decides to set 1 monster. Let's be more clear here. Sets a monster, sets a back row, sets another back row, sets 3 back row, sets 4. And is debating setting the 5th, I believe, or he might be just holding it. If he's thinking about this long about setting the 5th, I think it's like probably some form of removal. Maybe he drew into the double snare. Well, he ends up saying the 5th. I think possibly the play around a duo that Morgan may have left in. Alright, so Morgan's just going to attack the face down. And it is indeed Big Shield Gardner. So Morgan's going to take 800 here. Then the Gardner's going to be shifted to attack by its effect. I think Morgan is scared though. Oh, never mind. He has LV. It dumps the return from the different dimension. Uses Book of Moon though. Oh, that's huge. That's actually very, very, very huge. Because now Morgan has to commit another monster to potentially even try to out that, but if he does, then he's going to be potentially locked into locked under like Ojama trio like we saw last game. So we see an MST on the Nightmare Wheel to prevent himself from taking 500 every turn. I don't actually think this is correct. I think if he draws into like, you know, like Jinzo or Irna or something, then like he's fine. But I understand the concern. Doesn't look like Fabricio has Ojama trio though right now. Oh, he does. Uses it immediately too. I think he's expecting the set to be maybe the GK Spy or something. And then he's thinking resolution. I think if I were him, he might desserts here for 25. Or he's gonna wheel the set. Oh, that's huge. He's gonna wheel the set. Oh, that's actually so huge. So Morgan's gonna use a Regeki Break on the wheel, and that's gonna sell him Judgmented. Oh, that's actually so bad for Morgan. Oh no. If I'm Morgan, if I don't have Jinzo here, I think I'm just kind of boned. Because he just let history repeat itself by committing another monster. He forgot to take 500. Just to add salt into the wound. He's like, he forgot to take 500. Oh yeah, MST, right. Right, so let's inflict damage on each of his standby phases, right? Yeah. So that's weird. So Morgan's deciding to attack with the Kaiku into this, despite the fact that this is gonna be face up. Maybe he has like Demok for LV, but even then he can just tribute the summon with the Demok and not have to take battle damage from swinging into it. So not really sure what he's thinking, but maybe he has a plan. There's the minus 500 again from Nightmare Wheel. We see Fabricio set a card and pass his turn. So I think what yeah, there's the Demok. Yep, there's the Demok. Signaling effect. He's not gonna summon Judgment with the normal summon, which is really nice. So it looks like, what do you have here? What would stop this? Because he didn't negate the normal summon, right? Oh, okay, so he has just desserts to this. Minus 2000. I'm not really sure about this. This is interesting to me because I would just like, if he like blind MST into the backs, right? And he hit the desserts, he can just chain it. He's gonna go on resolution to do something. He's going to ring the Demok. Is the last part a burn trap? Oh wow. 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 Expertly played. Expertly played by Fabricio. He just saw lethal and it worked out. That's very, very interesting. I would have waited for the MST, but I don't think it really mattered at the end of the day. So, we see Strike Ninja be defeated by Stallburn. I think this match is probably very hard for Strike Ninja because they just don't really have a lot of ways to deal with a lot of back row, like especially Morgan's build, and Strike Ninja just can't really run over this whatsoever, and it doesn't play 1000 Extra Strict, so it also can't really deal with this very well either. But yeah, that's going to be the round 1 feature match. We see Fabricio and his Stallburn deck take it convincingly over Morgan and his Strike Ninja deck in a 2-0 fashion. So stay tuned for more feature matches from the LT Pot tournament. I'll be uploading more very soon, and we'll see you next time. Peace.